hitting Clash and Ukraine. He is the king of Kyiv. It's Hellraiser.
Love it. What a good nickname. What a nickname.
Up with that one.
Yeah, I know. I'm impressed, man. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. You know, we maybe expected, like you said, the last win that we saw Ziggy take was with some mass. I love this. The good luck, not even have fun. No. Just, yeah, you need it, man. The last win we saw Ziggy take, I think you're correct, was with 3 racks Reaper play, which you can't do against a Protoss player. So Ziggy's probably going to be forced to play a bit more of a macro game here, maybe a bit of a standard game. He'll probably find some way to sneak in some sort of cheeky play, maybe a proxy starport with a Hellion drop or something. But for the most part, I think this matchup in particular is going to force Ziggy into the mid game, into the late game, where he's slightly less comfortable than he is in that very early, very volatile early game situation.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I do think if we were going to see something very cheeky, Juggernaut is not a bad map for it. The position that I'm showing right now over here is very, very good for a proxy starport, just south of the main. It's quite far for a probe to come and scout, and it's also very close to the main, and the main very wide open to get Hellions in and be annoying. We do have a gas steal coming in here from Ziggy. This is not a lot of Terrans do it, but if you're playing against a Protoss player who wants to play a very gas-heavy style, or go for a very quick Stargate or something like that, I actually don't mind it for the cost. He's going to cancel it, of course, so it's a small time investment now that he gets most off back, but he is slowing down Hellraiser, and Hellraiser the kind of player who is probably going to play with a lot of tech. He is the player that would drop a Dark Shrine or something like that. Yeah.
Man, it's funny to see a gas steal against a Protoss player. Usually, of course, if you're in a TVP, that gas steal is going to be happening on this side of the map. So, again, as we said, just cheeky play from Ziggy. He's definitely a player who relies on some of that, fun early game uncertainty to really cement his advantage. And here we do see he's going to go for a second racks behind this. So a bit more of an aggressive opener from Ziggy, as we sort of predicted, going to try and capitalize on this early game pressure that he does seem to thrive in. Grant, I think Hellraiser's probably going to be just fine, though, already. He's got that Robo coming down on the other side of the map, which means he's going to have Observers out. He might even have Immortals out. Even if an early game bio push happens from Ziggy, I feel like this is a great tech choice from Hellraiser. He's not going for like Phoenix or Void Ray or something made out of paper mache.
Yeah, I agree. I like the early Robo hit to get an Observer, possibly. Something like that. The only concern is that if he does go for a very quick Prism and tries to be aggressive at the other side of the map, he could be caught with his pants down here. It's not something I'd massively expect just yet. Ziggy is scouting everywhere for any proxies here, wants to make sure there are no shenanigans. Ziggy, an aggressive, cheeky player, Hellraiser can certainly match that. We even have Ziggy going for a quite quick Cyclone here, very safe opening. Ziggy going to poke in now, see that the wall is complete, and that his opponent is hiding his tech to a degree, and probably bounce around and try and jump up into the main. Maybe not.
We'll see what he can get done. I love I call it the pro Reaper scout, where you just kind of poke in, but don't actually check. Like if there was a Dark Shrine hidden up here, he wouldn't have seen it. No. I don't know why players do this. They think that they can just get in here and scout to see if something crazy is going on, and then don't check the actual dark corners of the map where anything would be hidden. It's just a little bit lazy, a little bit sloppy. But we see it from pro players of all stripes. I've seen several miss scouts like that before, just bouncing the ling around and not checking every single dark corner of the map. So luckily, of course, no sneaky tech from Hellraiser right now. Sneaky, though, from Ziggy, who's not going for a 2 racks opener, Grant. That is a 3rd barracks coming down. Grant, tell us what this means for the timing of Ziggy's attacks.
Yeah, so Ziggy's going to be hitting very, very soon. He's going to have a good bunch of Marines. Is he getting his eBay for a +1? No. Okay, I'm surprised by that. You do see some of these pushes with +1. He has a lot of gas down on the 3rd, so I think we'll probably see a tech lab go down on that 2nd barracks. Maybe concussive shell, something along those lines, or just a push here with a shields and Stim. That's the word I'm looking for. I completely forgot it. Colossus already on the way here though from Hellraiser, who did drop a couple of Adepts to try and create some pressure, but as soon as the Colossus comes out, as long as there is batteries, Extended Thermal Lance won't be too far behind, and I think Hellraiser is set up nicely. He has seen everything with the Observer now bouncing in and out, Ziggy catching a glimpse of that scan. There we go, see you later, nerd. But everything's been seen. ETL immediately starts off here, and Ziggy going to be forced to transition into a starport and possibly a third base.
Yeah, but he's coming across the map as soon as Stim finishes up. This is a very dangerous push by Ziggy because, of course, there are no medevacs here to heal up, meaning that every Stim has to be calculated, has to be precise. He's got to be judicious with that Stim because everyone is going to destroy his army. The second observer, of course, from Hellraiser sees this coming. Hellraiser's going to take the advantage to go on the other side of the map and cause some chaos here, warping in some more zealots and realizing that, hey, I can probably hold this push, and if I can do as much damage on the other side as possible. Ziggy's setting up here. The Colossus is going to get pushed back there, but no actual damage taken. And this Colossus doing incredible work, already mowing down a ton of these Marines who are stimmed up and gunned down. Their health already orange, red, and yellow, Grant.
Yeah, this is a problem. Now, a lot of the batteries are going down, but Ziggy is taking pretty irreparable damage at home. He's not going to be able to even push these back in the end, as they are now going to shade up into the high ground. There's still a couple of adepts here. Oh, they're not going to go into the high ground, actually. Okay, the ramp did go back up. That's nice. But another round of units coming in here. This is a real problem. Ziggy is trying his best to the other side of the map. Oh, he does a lot of damage to a Colossus here. If one of these Colossi fall, we get a very interesting game here. It needs to be extremely careful with its footing here. There is no Zealot charge, Grayson, which means these Zealots cannot get anywhere near the tanks. But at the other side of the map, almost every worker beginning to go down. It does look like maybe it will finally stabilize, but this is just incredible damage that Ziggy has taken, and he's not yet found.
Yeah, absolutely correct. As soon as ETL finishes up, those Colossi now have extended thermal lance charged just a few seconds away. It looks, if you're a casual observer, you're just like, oh man, this is going to be great. Look at that damage on the natural. Charge finishes up, and immediately the Zealots unleashed on those tanks. 1, 2, and 3 tanks going to fall. Ziggy's been crushed back home with the Warp Prism finally getting sniped down, but 24 SCVs go down. And Grant, pop open that unit's loss tab and show us exactly how many probes that Hellraiser's lost this game.
Yeah, so Hellraiser hasn't lost a single probe. All he's lost is, I mean, you can see it in the resources lost there. It's incredible. Sure, he lost a few shield batteries, a couple of gateways, but what he didn't lose is any of his economy. Now, he doesn't have a third, so he can't immediately reap the benefits. He does need to still make that third base, but he'll be looking to do that pretty soon. And Hellraiser just in a great position. His Colossi stand strong. His upgrades on the way, +1 is on the way. He already has Zealot Charge Blink. Quarter of the way down, he can remake those gateways. He is going to make a third and continue to macro, knowing he's an advantage. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of these players go for some aggression soon, and it lead to the end of this game.
Yeah, I mean, cards on the table, elephant in the room, right? Ziggy went for a 2-base timing and just failed spectacularly. Hellraiser had an amazing read. Not only did he see that, but he also knew that he could defend back home, so he kept his Warp Prism across the map to do damage. He's got DTs now loaded up in the Warp Prism. One little DT getting left behind here. But the detection for Ziggy, non-existent. No engineering base, or pardon me, engineering base down, but no missile turrets. He's going to rely on scans here, and if you thought this initial damage was bad with the Adepts and Zealots, let me tell you, boys and girls, this is going to be rough. Of course, immediate pull here as Ziggy sees it, but what can you do but pray? Man, this is going to be rough. Ziggy's got one last chance here with no scans back home. He's got to try and push this third, but Hellraiser can just cancel and defend back home.
Yeah, how is that? I mean, he has more Zealots, and then Ziggy has army almost. Now, finally, a scan will go down, but guess what? He does have a twin, and that is going to continue reaping havoc in the main, putting Ziggy down onto one base. GG! Hellraiser picks up map 1.
Yeah, you know, this was sort of a textbook game. I feel like if I was doing like a how to watch StarCraft series, this would be how not to do a 2-base timing, or how to defend a 2-base timing even. Hellraiser, with that early Colossus, knew he was safe back home. As long as he micro those Colossus well enough, there's just almost no way the Protoss player can push in. His extended thermal lance, his charge finishing up a little bit later, but he was happy to make those trades for the later charge and thermal lance because he was warping in the main base of Ziggy, and Ziggy was just getting destructinated. All of those probes getting explodinated, and Ziggy's chances of moving on in this bracket getting torn to pieces.
Yeah, it is now becoming a little bit scary, and unfortunately, to add insult to injury, that was Ziggy's map choice. So now we move on to the map that Hellraiser has picked and is most likely more comfortable on. Juggernaut is still a strange map people are figuring out, but we're getting some really great games of StarCraft on it, so I'm kind of excited. I like to see it in the pool more and more. We are just waiting to get onto map 2, Romanticide, and Ziggy needs to do something a bit different. To be honest, I could see him going for something very, very aggressive here. One thing I will say about Ziggy, I like him, I respect him, but he's a very emotional player. And a couple of times when his back's against the wall, he will just proxy 3 or 4 racks. I don't know if we'll see that now, maybe, it wouldn't surprise me so much. What are you thinking, Creighton? Are we going to get another macro game? Or?
Well, I got a question for you, Grant. Okay. Who's a more emotional being, the player Ziggy or your adorable dog who's also named Ziggy?
The player, for sure. My dog is... He doesn't have high enough IQ to be emotional. He's a proper moron.
I identify strongly with that statement, Grant.
Yeah.
People are like, wow, Creighton, you're so chill all the time. And I'm like, there's nothing inside.
there's just nothing going on.
Yeah, I don't have the mental energy to understand what to be angry about. I'm just cool, man. To answer your actual question, I would not be surprised to see Ziggy triple proxy raxing here. Romanticide is a great map for it. Not only is it new-ish to the map pool, so players still haven't quite nailed down those exact, specific scouting patterns that you want to check for proxy raxing. There's also just a lot of places you can do it here on Romanticide. Of course, the main is enormous. If you can sneak a barrack into the main base, float one over, that can happen. The natural's got a lot of space there. Third base is in a wacky position as well. All sorts of options. Normal start. No SCVs pulled just yet, Grant. Let's intro our players and then talk a little more about what this match might look like.
Yeah, our first player in the top left-hand side of Romanticide. He is the Red Terran player. Playing for himself from Poland, it's Ziggy.
And his opponent, the bottom right-hand side in the blue, sending out a very, very early probe. It's Clash Gaming's Hellraiser from Ukraine.
Yeah, I think this
Grant,
just a scout here, wants to make sure he's not being proxy raxed.
Yeah.
Gateway's going down at home. It wasn't like a proxy or anything like that here. He's just very, very concerned about what I mentioned. That is, Ziggy likes proxy rax. Romanticide, a very wide map, generally wide maps that are easiest maps to hide a proxy. There's a lot more nooks and crannies, and sometimes you can hide them in plain sight because your opponent will only look in nooks and crannies. eBay block from Ziggy here, going to be frustrating as always for his opponent. Hellraiser wants to see this sooner rather than later. There we go, so he can slow it down and maybe make a zealot. Or he may even choose to throw down his natural on the third. We've even been seeing Protoss players doing that recently, Creighton.
Yeah, we really have, which is so cool. I mean, this is the thing that we talked about before with Zerg players, where just in the past 3 years, almost every Zerg player in the world, the skill cap, the skill ceiling has increased so much for professional Zerg players that now they're universally like, oh, my natural's blocked, I'll take a third, I don't even care. And as you said, we do see some Protoss players now reaching that stage where they're like, you know what, my build orders are strong enough, my map awareness is good enough, I can read my opponents well enough that as long as I get a good scout off, there's no problem in grabbing that third location for my second Nexus. So I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. He does have a Zealot here working. I love the SCV coming back to try and add a little more health to this engineering phase. Oh, what a cute play from Ziggy. I do want to point out, Grant, there's some interesting meta happening here. Normally, when I see an engineering bay block, it's off-centered. It's like a little bit to the north, a little bit to one side. It's not right on top of where that Nexus usually goes. And I don't know what... Oh my god, he killed, not canceled. Huge mistake from Ziggy there. Whoa.
That's a lot of money thrown away. A lot of money.
Man, you know, I was just going to make a joke about how ballsy Ziggy was, dropping it right in the middle of where the Nexus is and not like 1 or 2 tiles off. But that just got overshadowed by the fact that Ziggy just lost 125 minerals on the engineering bay that he should not have lost there. That's a rookie mistake, Grant. No two ways about it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit emotional, as I said, from that last game. Maybe you never know where these players' attentions are. Maybe he had an itchy nose. Had to fix that. Stalker coming out here. This Reaper should not get too much done. Did he get anything? I did kill a probe, which isn't bad by any means. You don't want to lose it. You want to see the tech. And here is that cheekiness that we thought was coming. And behind this, Creighton, there's 2 factories going down.
Yeah, this is really interesting from Ziggy. It's not something we see every day, Grant. You know, I'd say 9 times out of 10, if you see a proxy in this location on Romanticide, if I just looked at the mini-map and didn't see anything else, I'd be like, oh, Ziggy's proxying a starport. He's going to do a Hellion drop this game. Or maybe some Liberator harass with some Hellions behind it. But yeah, a second proxied factory here is... I don't know if it's unusual per se, but it's certainly unorthodox. A very interesting strategy to go for the second factory down here. Now, Grant, that is going to give him a couple options with his Cyclone coming out back home. He can add on a reactor, maybe double out some Hellions, or go for more Cyclones down south. Depending on what he wants to do, he can even proxy a starport there if that's what he wants to do. It does mean his main base isn't very well guarded, but of course the natural's been spotted by Hellraiser. He saw it earlier, so he knows that he's not being all in on one base right now. But he should suspect something's up. He hasn't seen a lot of Hellions defending, only 2 Marines out. Ziggy's hiding something, and now Hellraiser's got to figure out what it is.
I think it is going to be Mass Cyclone here, which we don't see so often, actually, and I'm kind of excited for it. As okay, he's proxying a tank. What? Who proxies a siege tank?
Who the hell proxies a siege tank?
There we go. That's a quote for all you old timers to make you a little bit sad, but also respectful on these days.
What a guy. What a guy. Shield battery going down. I mean, there's no way Hellraiser gets tricked by this, right? He knows something's up. He's like, I haven't seen any units back home for you. Nothing fought away my Zealot and Stalker. I only saw a factory in Barrack. There's got to be something else going on. Where is your money? I don't know. I'm going to build a Dark Shrine. I'm going to build a Warp Prism. I'm going to build a shield battery. Going to defend back home with a shield battery and a couple gateway units, and then do the same thing I did last game, which is try and pressure you. This time, though, he's skipping the Adept Zealot pressure and skipping straight to the meat of the matter, to the quick. He's going for the DTs.
Yeah, now, the concern here to play devil's advocate is that Hellraiser walks in a couple of DTs at the other side of the map, has nothing to defend. He doesn't expect the fact that there's like 9 tanks coming. How many tanks are already on the field? 3. Okay, so if a 4th tank makes it, 4 tanks is enough to completely destroy the economy, to destroy all of the buildings, all of the production. But this DT is a real problem. There is no answer for these DTs. There's 1 scan available. We should see that go down, but there's nothing to even kill it. GG.